It's Saturday, March 29th, 2025, and we have a huge update for you on our upcoming severe weather outbreaks. That's right, outbreaks. We've got one coming up tomorrow, and we've got potentially another one as we go towards the middle of next week. We also have significant winter weather to talk about. So this is likely going to be a long video, and it all starts talking about this little trough over here creeping into the west coast. You can see it very clearly on satellite there. Now let's dive into talking about what this thing is going to do. Starting with our most concerning event in the near future, it's definitely going to be our severe weather outbreak tomorrow, where we have a 3 out of 5 enhanced risk of severe weather for a huge area from Ohio down to Texas. Okay, this includes Cincinnati, Louisville, Nashville, Memphis. This includes Little Rock, St. Louis, Indianapolis, and just a large area there in our 3 out of 5 enhanced risk. But there's also an even larger slight risk that goes from Toronto, Canada. Essentially, if the Storm Prediction Center put outlooks out for Canada, you guys would likely be included in that. All the way back down past Detroit, past Columbus, down past Knoxville, Birmingham, all the way into East Texas. Chicago's included in that slight risk as well, and then an even larger marginal risk surrounds that. So tens of millions, I think over 100 million people are under the gun for significant severe weather on Sunday, March 30th. So we've got to make sure everybody is prepared for this, because it looks like it's going to be a substantial severe weather event. All right, let's take a peek under the hood and talk about the why, so we can understand the where and the when and all that good stuff. What we're looking at here are winds about 18,000 feet above our heads. This shows us where the jet stream is, essentially, and you can see that dip in the jet stream. What we like to call a trough here is going to be ejecting out over the plains, especially as we go into Sunday. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow for significant lift out in front of the cold front that's going to be coming through, and that's going to allow for several areas of storms to pop up. Okay, we've got the large trough here, and then also several subtle little short waves inside of that. So there's likely going to be a lot of different places where storms are going to be initiating as we go into the day on Sunday. And my goodness, the storms are going to have a significant amount of energy to work with as they initiate. This is just one model, and it's not 100% going to look like this, but the CAPE values are really high on the NAM. And when I say CAPE, I'm just talking about thunderstorm fuel. Okay, you'll hear me say stuff like 2,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE. Don't worry about the acronyms or the units of measurement there. Just know the higher that number, the more juicy the atmosphere is, and the more primed it's going to be for significant storm formation, and in this case potentially supercell formation. There's some places that have potentially over 3,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE as we approach initiation on Sunday. And just to give you some reference there, 1,500 would be enough to be concerned about. So if we actually have these high instability values in place on the surface, thanks to the low pressure system up here that's allowing for moisture and all of this, all these perfect ingredients to advect northward out in front of the cold front, then things are going to be pretty intense on Sunday. And it's not just instability that we have. If the storms actually form and they take advantage of that, they're going to rocket up into the atmosphere, and they're going to have access to wind shear. So the winds on the surface are going to be blowing in a different direction than the winds in the upper levels, and that's going to allow them to spin. And for that reason, the Storm Prediction Center has put out a 10% hatched risk of tornadoes for tomorrow. This includes southern Indiana, portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Illinois, and Missouri. And basically what this means is that there is at least a 10% probability of having tornadoes within 25 miles of any given point in the yellow area there. And where it's hatched, it means that some of those tornadoes could produce damage in the EF2 to EF5 range. So not trying to scare anybody, just giving you a heads up. It's amazing that we have the ability to give you this much heads up. We've been talking about this for a week, and it's all kind of culminating to this point now. If you live in that area, today's the day for you to prepare, know what you're going to do whenever that tornado warning comes through. And then of course we also need to be prepared as far north as up here into southern portions of Michigan, and then as far south as into Texas and Louisiana, because even the 5 and the 2% risk zones will likely have some tornadoes. You also need to be prepared out here. Let's talk about timing and uncertainty. So this is what the radar could look like around 4 a.m. on Sunday. We're going to have rain showers and lots of cloud cover out here in front of our main storm system, and that is one thing that could help us. So those CAPE values are not going to get as high if we've got a lot of rain and clouds hanging out and we don't allow the sun to come out and destabilize the atmosphere. So that's one thing that could help us out. If we've got a lot of morning convection, if we've got a lot of thunderstorms happening in the morning or before the main heating of the day, then we're going to have less chance of seeing big time thunderstorms. But if we do get some clearing and we see those Cape values approaching 1500 to 2500, then we're going to have a massive outbreak of supercells likely starting around 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern. And as you can see, when these things first start popping up, they are somewhat discrete, meaning that there's a pretty good tornado chance here. But even as they start congealing into more linear features, we're talking about damaging winds and large hail possible, even up there in Indiana and Ohio. We have a tornado threat that expands all the way down into Kentucky. And then probably our most robust supercells will pop up over here in southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, northern portions of Arkansas. As of right now, anyways, it looks like those have the best chance of producing large hail and potentially strong tornadoes. And man, the threat just goes on well into the night. We're going to have multiple rounds of storms where it could storm once pretty significantly around 4 p.m. in Louisville and Cincinnati, and then another potentially more significant round comes in around 11 p.m. We could have no storms at all in Nashville until early in the morning on Monday. So it's really kind of too early right now to talk about specific timing, but just to show you, this is not like one little concentrated area of storms. This is multiple different storm clusters that we're going to be tracking on Sunday. And yes, of course, we will be live here with Storm Chasers on the ground, meteorologist Andy Hill, and all that good stuff. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on. It's likely going to be a very long and eventful live stream. So yeah, get ready for that. And then we've got to move on because there's more weather to talk about. That's right. Unfortunately, we are watching the potential for another major outbreak of severe weather Wednesday, April 2nd. So this is after tomorrow's outbreak. Some of the same exact areas are going to be under the gun again for significant severe weather on Wednesday. So we're talking about Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, Memphis, Little Rock, near St. Louis. A lot of the areas that we just talked about are in the target zone again on Wednesday. And this one is going to involve another potent upper level trough swinging out of the Rockies and into the plains. But I mean, I don't know if you can tell just by looking at this, but it looks quite a bit more potent. It's too early to talk about specific details here, but if we continue to see this on the models, this is likely going to be a much bigger deal than what we're dealing with tomorrow. So once again, not trying to scare anybody. Don't be scared. Be prepared. This is another beautiful thing about the modern state of weather forecasting. We have the ability to see these things coming from a distance now, and here you go. Now, there's a chance that this all falls apart and it becomes nothing. You guys know that. But there's also a chance that this is going to be another significant severe weather outbreak, this time with more moisture, more shear, and bigger potential to cause tornadoes. I just wanted to point this out. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it because it's going to change. This is 5 days out. But yeah, it looks like this is going to be another significant severe weather outbreak. And yeah, one of the more concerning things about this upcoming system for April 2nd is the amount of moisture that's going to be present, the amount of wind shear, and just how far north it goes. All right. So I want everybody from Chicago all the way down to Little Rock and then as far east as Memphis and Louisville to be watching this one as well. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to keep you updated on this throughout the live streams on, because we'll probably be live Sunday and Monday. We'll continuously look at this and keep you updated on the forecasts. And then we'll likely just go live again on Wednesday and do it all over again. And to bridge the gap between those two major events, the reason I might be live Monday is because the continuation of the cold front as it moves east after producing our severe weather outbreak on Sunday is going to bring more severe weather to over 100 million people on Monday, March 31st, from New York all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So the good news is here, I don't think we're going to be talking as much about significant severe weather in terms of tornadoes and stuff like that, but there is going to be a damaging wind threat here. And depending on exactly how Sunday goes, there is a chance that we see a greater tornado threat the farther south we go. Notice how our big time storm system kind of dissipates as we go into the day on Monday here. That's going to allow for some destabilization in the Carolinas and into Florida and Georgia. So if this actually happens and the sun pokes out here before the cold front makes it off the coast, we could see new storms form, some maybe discrete supercellular storms, and that could have its own tornado risk down there. So we will be watching that closely. Now, the farther north we go, the more confident I am that it's not going to be a tornado threat. It's going to pretty much just be a damaging wind threat. So make sure you guys are ready for very strong winds up there in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, maybe even all the way up there into Boston as this moves out to sea, and it'll be out of our hair completely by early in the morning on Tuesday. Now, severe weather is on the table, but I also want to mention the fact that we also have a slight risk or a marginal risk right now of excessive rainfall, and I believe that this will be upgraded to a slight risk, and it will likely include portions of the Appalachian Mountains over here in southeast Tennessee and western portions of North Carolina, northern Georgia. Just want to get you guys prepared. We might have some flooding going on here depending on how slow the storms go on Sunday. Remember, we're going to have all these storms popping up over here on Sunday. If they race off to the east really fast, this will be less of a rainfall problem, and honestly, that'll also cut down on the tornado problems as well down here in the south, because it'll make the storms get out of here before the instability is allowed to cook up again. But if they move slower, we're going to have more rainfall and a more significant severe weather chance. So while the southern U.S. is dealing with severe weather and excessive rainfall, up here in the north, we're talking about a significant winter threat, maybe even a major ice storm from portions of Minnesota up through the UP of Michigan, into Wisconsin, southern Ontario, and then even into the northeast, as all of that warm air is going to be pushing up against some very cold air hanging out up here in Canada. And the area where they meet, there's going to be a thin layer of cold air on the surface and some warmer air aloft. I mean, that's the perfect recipe for an ice storm there. We currently have ice storm warnings in effect for Wisconsin up there into the UP of Michigan, and then we got winter storm warnings and watches in effect for all of New England, north of Boston, and upstate New York, and we've got some winter weather stuff out here for portions of the northern plains as well. Once again, we are mostly concerned about the ice. There are some places that could approach 1 inch of ice accumulation throughout the duration of this event. It's not going to happen in one day or anything like that. Some of it's falling right now. Some of it will continue to fall on Saturday into Sunday. And the good news there is, because there is so much warm air involved with this system, I think a lot of the ice is going to melt. I don't think that anybody's going to have 1 inch of ice at one time. I could be wrong about that, because, it's going to fall. We're going to have 1 inch of ice falling from the sky. And if that was to actually accumulate, we could have a catastrophic ice storm up here. We're talking about power outages that last for weeks, significant travel disruptions. But a more realistic point of view here, I think, is that 1 inch of ice will fall, maybe only 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch will accumulate. And in that case, it's still going to be a big deal. So if you live up here in northern Michigan, Wisconsin, into southern portions of Canada, once again, make sure you're prepared for power outages that could last days and maybe even longer than that, because this is going to be a significant winter storm. And the areas that don't receive ice, just to the north of the ice, we're also going to see heavy wet snow. So there's a possibility that up here in Vermont and New Hampshire, that a couple places see 6 inches of snow, and that's like really heavy wet snow, and then also a glaze of ice. And if that happens, that's going to cause even more problems with down trees and power lines. So I want everybody to be ready for this. It's going to be a significant winter storm up here in the northern United States. And yeah, also you guys back here in Minnesota, portions of South Dakota, up into Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan are also in line to get some snow here, potentially over 7 to 8 inches in some places. But some of that's going to melt because there is so much warm air involved here. Now let's rewind all the way back to today and talk about our threat of severe weather today in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, a little bit of Arkansas. We've got a slight risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center for Saturday, March 29th. Our trough that's coming out of the Rockies that's going to cause all of our problems is going to initiate some supercells potentially tonight. And this is really late tonight. We're talking about 10 or 11 p.m. or so. That will initially be able to produce maybe some large hail and an isolated tornado or two, especially around Oklahoma City, up towards Wichita. And then very quickly, this is going to congeal into a multicellular kind of cluster of heavy rain and probably just some wind makers as it moves into like the Joplin area. And the tornado threat's going to subside quite quickly. So it's going to be a brief but significant severe weather threat here around 10 or 11 p.m. when they first pop up, and then things are going to kind of die off as they go towards St. Louis. Now, at the same time, while those storms are happening over here, all of that moisture flow, all of that moisture transport from the Gulf, just getting us ready for our severe weather outbreak on Sunday, is going to cause significant rainfall down here in Louisiana and southern Mississippi. Therefore, we have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall and flash flooding, including New Orleans, where we could see over 3 inches of rain today. So just be ready for that. There's some rivers and creeks that are already pretty swollen. This could be the thing that tips everything over and causes actual flooding. So you make sure you're prepared to get to higher ground if there's a flood warning issued. And on the opposite side of the flooding problem, we've got dry air and significant winds fueling the backside of our storm. The reason we have a dry line is because of this. And this is leading to more significant fire weather conditions back here in New Mexico and Texas. Critical fire weather possible over here. We also have some dry conditions and some strong winds that will be taking place today over here in Philadelphia, over towards Washington, D.C., and there is an elevated wildfire risk over here. Wildfire risk continues on Sunday for portions of Texas and New Mexico, so make sure you are prepared for that. And then let's take a look at these temperatures as we go through the weekend and into next week. We're going to have very warm temperatures out in front of our major storm system. It's going to feel like summer in southern Ontario, even up into the northeast before our major storm system hits. And then things are going to cool down quite quickly for a large area. But don't worry, the warm air is going to come right back after that. And, that's going to fuel our next storm system. Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day temperature outlook through April 7th says we're going to be above average in the east, below average in the west. This will set the stage for more stormy weather all the way through April 7th. And that's also going to set the stage for some above average rainfall right over the Mississippi River Valley here. So flooding is going to constantly be on the table as we go forward. Good news is that we also expect some increased rain over here in the southwest and some places that really, really need it, especially the closer towards April 7th that we get. There you go. There's some good news. All right. So busy week at the Weather House. We've got our video today. There's a very slight chance that we go live tonight. We're definitely going live tomorrow. In fact, we might not even upload a video tomorrow. We might not have time. Monday, lower chance of a live stream, but very high chance that we're going to be making a video. Same thing for Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I think that's another pretty much guaranteed day that we're going to be live here on the channel. So make sure you are subscribed with notifications on and spread the word. Let everybody know what's going on here. This is going to be a very, very active week of weather. And I hope you guys are doing all right. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for the live stream. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.